Welcome to today's lecture on game design documentation. This lecture was designed for the Game Simulation and Animation Design course at Lake Minneola High School. Our essential question for today is, how does documenting games during the design process support the game's development team? And we can answer this question by first reviewing game design documents. Design documents allow programmers to maintain focus during development, save time in the development and debugging stages, and allow multiple programmers to work simultaneously. There is no set document format for game design. However, typical game design documents would include a high-level design document, a market analysis, world design, character design, game script, character script, and technical design. So today we're going to look at a sample document that goes over each of these sections. So first and foremost, we have the high-level design document. This happens prior to the game's actual development, and it includes the synopsis, theme, technology, and game rules. This is basically an executive summary of your game before you go into production. The synopsis addresses the overview of the game's storyline. It provides a brief summary of the game's storyline, the character roles, the plot development, etc. And typically this is found on the back of a game case in the real world. So, if you find a video game at a store, you pick it up, you look at the back of the case, it gives you a synopsis of the game, it gives you a brief overview. The theme addresses the executive summary of the market analysis. And basically what we're looking at is it's providing a brief overview of the game theme, competitive games, the target audience, and the number of players as well. The technology addresses the necessary technology requirements for the development and gameplay. This also provides a detailed listing of the game development and gameplay technologies required. For example, development, what hardware and software is utilized. For gameplay, what platform is it going to be released to, what's the user interface like, etc., etc. Game rules address briefly, very briefly, the major game rules that form the core mechanics of the game. The document provides a list of the primary rules forming the basis for the game's core mechanics, including the primary victory condition. Many games of the primary game are not included in this list at this time. Moving to the market analysis document, this also occurs prior to game development, and it will include the concept overview, the characteristics, and the target market sections. First, looking at the concept overview. The concept overview addresses the synopsis of the game and how the protagonist will advance throughout the storyline. This document provides a brief summary of the game story, characters, and realms, and it allows developers to create a teaser that may be published with the game. The characteristics of the game addresses the major elements and features of the game. The document describes the unique selling points or USPs of the game. For example, what makes the game different from similar titles? And we can see an example of God of War versus Dante's Inferno. Both are very similar games, however, each one has a unique selling point. The target market addresses the demographics, the competitors, the unique selling points, and potential popularity of the game. And typically we're answering the question of who will play the game. This allows the programmer to determine the market size, thus affecting the development time and budget. Moving then to the world design document. The world design document is compiled during the early stages of game development. So at this point, we are now starting our actual production of the game. The document includes a description, the history, the objects, the color palette, storyline and storyboards, controls, sounds, content, etc., everything that's included in the world. So the description addresses the vision of the game environment, provides a detailed overview of the virtual world in which the game events occur, and this will include key features, time frames, historical cultural elements, locations, etc., etc. The history section addresses the background of the game world and the historical events that occur. This also provides a brief history of the world events, the legends, the myths, etc., and it's all aimed at increasing the depth of content, thus increasing the player immersion for the final product. The objects address the world objects that are expected in the virtual environment. This section provides a detailed list of the world objects describing the object's purpose. It will also include a visual of the object. This may be concept art, it may also be final production art. This is used for game production and post-development content guides and walkthroughs. So whenever you pull out a pamphlet from the game manual and it has a list of all the world objects, this is where that section is created. The color palette addresses the colors used throughout the game to maintain the same mood and feel of the theme. That is very important because if you want to have consistency throughout the game, you must have a single color palette that all developers are working on. This provides developers with the color schemes used throughout the game, and it is applied to game controls and navigation, levels and maps, characters, and other objects as applied. The storyline and storyboard addresses the structure of the plot within the game. This provides a descriptive storyline used for the game, supplemented with storyboards and scene notations indicating your lighting, colors, and sounds within the scene. Game controls address the user interface, menu systems, in-game information, displays, health skill database, and other game controls as needed. This section will provide developers with the guidelines for game interfaces, and it maintains continuity between various segments of the game, thus enhancing the user's experience. The sound section addresses the sound files that are used throughout the game world. This provides a detailed list of the sounds used within the game world, including the location or event which initiates the sound. For example, animation of a door opening, the sound would be a creaking sound. The content section addresses the game world content, and what we're looking at is a detailed list of primary, secondary, and Easter egg content found throughout the game environment. This also includes a list of the necessary victory conditions used to unlock features and or complete the game. Moving forward to the character design document. This is also created during the early stages of game development. It includes two sections, the description and the background. The character description addresses the virtual characters, the types, and the groups that are used throughout the game. This provides developers with a detailed outline of the specific character, including character stats. It is used for continuity throughout the game, and it also increases programming productivity when designed and implemented throughout the game. The character background section addresses the virtual characters, types, and groups used throughout the game as well. It provides developers with a detailed background of the very specific character or characters, and it increases the game immersion used for continuity throughout the game, and it also increases the programming productivity. It is very important to note that the character design document can be used for every single character within the game. For example, your protagonist would obviously have a character design document, thus describing the qualities, what the character's like, etc., etc. Your antagonist, the same thing. And if you have a group of people, such as a population of NPCs that you wouldn't necessarily interact with, but they exist for the experience of the game, you would have those groups included in a separate character design document. So you may have multiple character design documents based on the type of game and the structure of your overall game world. Moving to the game script. This document is created during the early to mid stages of game development, and it includes the decision tree or flowchart, the game mechanics, the game physics, animation sets, and also the narrative script. The decision tree or flowchart section addresses the breakdown of the storyline in terms of decisions and paths a player may take during the game. This also addresses the levels, skills, and objectives for the player at each point within the storyline. This section provides developers with the ability to develop longer games with unique gameplay. It is important to note that excessive content will take extra time to program and debug, and it is also used for maintaining a direct list of controls/options related to the various decisions. The game mechanics section addresses how the rules of the game will be applied. This provides developers with the ability to apply the rules of the game throughout all sections of the program, and it must be used to maintain continuity throughout the game's development. It is very, very important that your mechanics from beginning to end remain the same. The game physics addresses the gravity, speed, interactions, collisions, etc. that are defined for the virtual environment, and it provides developers with the necessary information for creating character and object physics. It is necessary for continuity between similar world maps, as you may have different level designers working on different time frames, and it may change from one realm to another if the situation permits. For example, inside it and outside of a spaceship, obviously you have different physics. The animation sets addresses the NPC and player animations, NPC being non-playable character, and it also addresses the user interface controls. It allows developers to view all the animation sets available for programming, and it gives a descriptive list of the animations with the attached model sheet. It permits the character movements to be programmed in each game map. Again, you may have multiple level designers. And it contains all character animations for the game in general. The narrative script addresses any narrations, voiceovers, and/or cutscenes. It contains a list of the cutscenes and voiceover files, a descriptive list for the game narration, and it also contains a copy of the game dialogue. The character script document is created during the early and mid stages of game's development, and it includes the player movement and player statistics. The player movement addresses the user interface controls, the NPC interactions, and object interactions. The player movement section defines the player controls and interactions, and it allows programmers to develop player continuity throughout the game. It also provides a descriptive list of each control and interaction. The player statistics section addresses the storage method of player statistics, checkpoints, and restart data. It provides programmers with information regarding the game's save/reference data, and it allows the game to be developed with a single system for saving and accessing player data, and also reference values. The technical design document is created during the mid to final stages of the game development, and it includes the program design and event code. The program design section addresses the game engine, physics engine, artificial intelligence, etc. used to program the game. It outlines sub-applications such as your AI, and it also utilizes program structures with descriptions. Event code addresses the coding used for the game events and user controls. It provides programmers with a descriptive list of game events and player controls. Documented object-oriented program code is sufficient for completing the event code section of the technical design. At this point, rate yourself on the material. If you feel you have it, excellent. If you feel you need to review, please do so. And if you have any questions, please contact your instructor.